One of the greatest entrepreneurs ever in Africa has taken a bold step to make sure that frontier is the frontier for the African. And that entity is the Dangote Group. Really driving great projects in pursuit of one thing, building a self-reliant Africa. Today, we are privileged to have amidst us Engineer Babajide Soyode, with a technical consultant to the group chief executive, Aliko Dangote, within the Dangote Group, and also Mr. Aliyu Suleiman, Group Chief Corporate Strategy Officer, also of Dangote. We'll be hearing from them and hopefully also be hearing from the Group Executive Director in charge of capital projects as well at some point. Also speaking will be Ivy Apia Owusu, who is the chairman of the CBOD, who will be sharing with us our welcome address, and also the National Petroleum Authority, who is currently represented by the Director of Planning and Pricing, as well as Regulations, Madam Alpha Welbeck. As you may be aware, the MP is yet to receive its next CEO, and is duly, but that role is currently being acted upon by senior directors like Alpha. So it will be a pleasure to really hear what MP has to say about the Aliko Dangote project or the Dangote refinery project. One of the key things that we would hopefully navigate today is to see what opportunity really is there for Ghana's 4 million metric ton product economy as far as petroleum products is concerned. Are there great opportunities in there? Dangote has started on its own, that it has a 650,000 barrel capacity, enough to cover Nigeria and surpluses to feed most likely West Africa. And they being our big brothers, and me proudly being a Nigerian by birth, we really look forward to us strengthening our intra-African trade, thanks to AFTA as well. So ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to today's meeting, and I would hereby call on Mrs. Ivy Apia Owusu, board chair of the Ghana Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, to share with us her welcome address.
Thank you, Mr. Senyo Hosi, and good morning, everyone. Madam Alpha Welbeck, NPA, Engineer Babajide Soyode, Technical Consultant to the Dangote Group, Mr. Aliyu Suleiman, Group Chief Strategy Officer, Dangote, Mr. Senyo Hosi, CEO, Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, fellow CBOD members, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all participants, good morning to everyone and good day, depending on where you're joining us from. On behalf of the CBOD, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to today's webinar. I want to convey my heartfelt gratitude to the Dangote Refinery for accepting our invitation to update us on the progress of the project and also to share insights on how Ghana can benefit from the refinery. Indeed, as Mr. Jose mentioned, this is definitely a game changer. And we in Ghana are very excited about this, given the fact that Nigeria and I are basically siblings. I'm very confident that the next 90 minutes or so will be time very well spent. And I encourage all participants to share their comments and questions using the chat box. I believe there will also be time for questions and answers at the end. Once again, a very warm welcome to everyone and enjoy this session. Thank you, Senyo.
Thank you very much, Ivy. And we all look forward to a very revealing submission and presentation from Dangote. At this juncture, I want to call on Madam Mrs. Alpha Welbeck to share with us the National Petroleum Authority's remarks. Alpha, can you hear me now? Alpha, can you please hear me now? I think we're having challenges with Alpha's hearing. I think she's been having connection challenges. So I think we'll proceed to the presentations and receive their remarks much later. So Engineer Babajide Soyode, you are hereby authorized and allowed to proceed with your your presentation. Engineer Babajide has been a very good friend of the chamber, a very good friend of the NPA, and a very good friend of the Ghana International Petroleum Conference. He's often the mover and shaker everybody looks forward to anytime we are going to have GIPCON, because of his very candid, a blow straight from the hip approach to policy advocacy. So we're looking forward to something that will really ginger us up and give us a lot more assurance that with Dangote in the boat, Africa will surely smile at any storm as far as this industry is concerned. You're welcome, and you have the floor. Thank you.
Senor, it's always a pleasure to see you. And on behalf of Dangote Group, I would like to express sincere thanks to CBOD for setting up this webinar to learn more about the Dangote refinery. The way we will handle it this morning is rather straightforward. We will show a short video of the construction, right from the beginning to the present where we are now. And then I will make a presentation on technical aspects of the refinery project. My colleague and the group chief strategy officer, Mr. Suleiman, will handle the commercial, any other strategic thing you want to answer. We want to keep the presentation to under 30 minutes so that we'll have as much time as required for question and answer. But please allow us to make the presentation first, and then we have full time for a question and answer. So without further ado, we'll make the video on the refinery. Who is this? Oh. The presentation, is it? I don't want to have any problem.
No.
are going to presentation now. We are going to presentation now. Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me.
Absolutely. We are actually I don't know whether the word is dumbfounded or we are in awe. The logistical nightmare alone, and this being delivered and led by fellow Africans is impressive. It's inspiring. Baba, you guys have started something.
We are still expecting the delegation you said you promised will be visiting us. I think you have to come and see it in person yourself, really. I think so. Maybe towards the end of the year or early next year, you can come.
We can't wait. We can't wait. We can't wait. 65 million liters of products. We don't want too much. We'll just take the 5 on the 60, and then that's fine. I mean, we okay. Ghana Nigeria one market. But great job. I mean, it's a logistical nightmare. The project managers and drivers, yourselves, and Mr. Suleiman. I mean, Africa is proud of you. Africa is proud of all of you. What you have done inspired and reaches beyond this time. And we are grateful that we've had visionaries like Aliko Dangote and visionary executives like yourself to really drive this into reality. The floor is yours, Baba.
Thank you. So we're going to the presentation now. As again, I'll make it short so that we can have more time for question and answer. We want to give some technical information on the refinery. Just keep going. As Sonia said, it's 650,000 barrels a day, largest single train refinery in the world. It will process crude oil mainly from Nigeria, but it can always process crude from other parts of the world. As of mid-April, the overall progress is about 88%, all right, which include engineering, procurement, and construction. The construction itself is about 76%. Now, the trading facilities where it's the export of products and so on is is completed now. The marine facilities is complete, and the other construction for the trading facility is almost about 99% complete as such today. Now, what gives this refinery different from the rest of the refinery is that it has complete independence of supply of crude oil. We due to take place through 2 single-point mooring buoys about 20 kilometers offshore. The crude through VLCC will go into the refinery through 2x48 subsea pipelines. Also, there are 3 products SPM which can handle between 20,000 tons and 160,000 tons of Suezmax ships. And they will have 4 pipelines, 24-inch. We have 3 jetties. That's about 30 kilometers, about 20 kilometers to the east, which we can have we can export polypropylene, sulfur, and other dry goods, and as well as carbon black feedstock. Next one. Next one. No, next one. We have probably the largest road tanker terminal certainly in Nigeria, maybe in West Africa. It can handle about 75% of total production of the refinery. It has 103 loading terminals, right? And loading gantries, which can handle between 33,000 and 60,000 liters. The loading can be completed within 30 to 40 minutes, and it has a lot of modern automation facilities. Go on. Excellent. The product tankage in the refinery is about 4 billion liters. All right, we have gasoline tankage as listed on board there. I don't want to go through them. All right, next one. So that's more of the tankage continued. Mm-hmm. As I said, we have the loading facility, the gantries, 86, but actually there are 103. Go on. We're just now going to show you some project pictures. You know, that is the current state. You can see the state of completion of the refinery. That is the gasoline transfer pumps you are seeing on top of you. It's ready to go. Keep going. It's also the booster pumps. They are just showing some there, but let's move on. We now see the product tanks farm, which is ready to go. In the foreground are the loading gantries, and the background are the day tanks, you know, for gasoline, diesel, kerosene, jet fuel. Farther away from here, we have LPG bullets. So we also have LPG, and we can load. You will now see the typical loading gantry. Typical loading gantry, loading arms. As I said, they are in groups. A group for gasoline, another group for diesel, another group for jet kerosene, another group for LPG, and so on. This is just a layout of the loading facility, which you will see whenever you come. It just shows how it is, you know, for visitors. Now you've seen the picture before of the jetty. This is now completely finished. You can see it, and you've seen that before in the video. Now you saw some very heavy equipment being lifted. That is the residue fluid catalytic cracking unit. That is by far the most expensive unit in the refinery, and because it converts bottoms residue into gasoline, so it is a very profitable unit, and it is also the most complex unit in the refinery. You've seen the trading facility again. All right, next one. As you know, when you say petrochemical, say refinery and petrochemical, actually the only petrochemical we produce is a polypropylene unit. In the next second phase of the development of Dangote free zone, we will have more basic petrochemicals like ethylene and polyethylene. But this one is only polypropylene that is being produced, and it is almost completed. This one is the crude distillation unit. You saw it when they were bringing in the crude tank. It is practically completed also. And that is a 650,000 barrels a day distillation column. We have 8 power generators, 4 gas and 4 steam turbine driven. All of them together producing about 400 megawatts of power. It's enough to power the refinery and also to give power to the neighboring community. The power plant is almost completed, about 92% complete now. We are taking, in the background, you'll see a lake. That is Lekki Lagoon. We're taking the raw water from there. So the utilities now is almost the raw water cooling facility is almost completed. There is the cooling tower. It's also almost completed. The utilities generally are almost completed. By September, they will all be completed and ready to go. Because we are going to produce Euro 5 products generally, we have removed all the sulfur in the crude. And we are going to be producing solid sulfur. We're going to be producing the other one you see is the butadiene. This is just one of the components for blending of high octane gasoline. It's a butadienization unit. We also have the alkylation unit, again, is to produce high octane blending stock for the refinery, for the gasoline. The utility system, with just the data, we will share this data with you later. It's just to show you some of the data on the refinery. As I said, we are going to generate and produce 400 megawatts of power. Well, thank you very much. That is really the technical facts. I will now yield ground to Mr. Aliyu to give you some information on commercial and other, and then we open up to questions.
All right, good morning, everyone. And it's a pleasure to have the opportunity to make this presentation to you. Just want to confirm if my presentation is visible.
Very visible, Mr. Aliyu.
All right. So I think Engineer Shoede has already given the highlights of the refinery. Let me just add a few things. First of all, I would just want to provide some context on the Dangote Group. As you might know, Dangote is a conglomerate, and we're into a number of businesses. We have a number of existing businesses. We have cement. We actually have a cement packaging plant in Ghana as well. And then we have the foods businesses that produce sugar, salt, tomato, and the rest. And then we have other businesses, packaging, construction, truck assembly, coal mining, etc. And then there are a number of new businesses. We have oil and gas, and that's where the refinery and petrochemical fits in, as well as fertilizer that has recently started, agriculture, and the rest. What we are building, Engineer Shoede has largely covered this, but let me just quickly go over it again. So it's a world-class 650,000 barrel per day refinery at the Lekki Free Trade Zone. It has state-of-the-art process technologies capable of producing high-quality products, Euro 5 or Afri 5 specification. I do understand Ghana is one of the few countries in Africa that has adopted, I think, Afri 3 or Afri 5, I'm not sure, which is equivalent to Euro 3 to Euro 5 specification. But you at least have higher standards than a lot of African countries. We have dedicated marine facilities for offtake of crude and loading of petroleum products, propylene plant or polypropylene. We have storage capacity, 20 days of crude and 11 days of Nigeria's gasoline consumption. Yeah, some of the things that makes the refinery special is its location. The location in Lekki gives it a logistics advantage, as you'll see on the next slide. The configuration also is special in that it minimizes production of low-value products. So, for example, we don't produce LPFO, and we try to produce as much petrol as we can. It's also large scale. In terms of completion, I think Engineer Shoede has talked to it. Talking about the logistics advantage, as you can see, we're located about 213 nautical miles by sea to Tema Port and 543 kilometers by road to Accra. So there is the possibility to ship products by road or by sea, depending on what makes the most sense. We have in the past been able to ship up to 50,000 tons of cement a month to Ghana. So this shows that it will also be possible to potentially move some products by road. Also, even though it's in Lagos, the location enables you to bypass most of Lagos, and you can easily access some of the major roads directly from there. The production is, so from the 650,000 barrels, we envisage to produce about 892 tons per day of propane, 2,515 tons per day of polypropylene, 53.2 million liters of gasoline, 8.9 million liters of jet, 36.9 million liters per day of diesel, and then some sulfur and slurry oil as well. If you, by the time you look at this on a monthly basis for the various products, for gasoline, our production will largely be similar to Nigeria's current consumption. So we are very unlikely to have any gasoline for export. However, our diesel production will be slightly about twice Nigeria's current consumption. Will therefore have sufficient surplus for exports. Similarly, for jet fuel / kero, we will have significant quantities for export. As Engineer Shoede said, there are plans to keep expanding capacity, so we will definitely be adding additional gasoline capacity in order to have more capacity for export. The trading facilities will be commissioned in phases, but they are largely ready, especially the gasoline and diesel storage. The refinery has about 45 product tanks with a total storage capacity of over 1.3 billion liters. Of this, gasoline storage capacity of over 600 million liters is largely ready, and this is made up of, anyway, we don't need to go through this. You also have the marine facilities are ready, so there are 2 single point mooring systems for crude and 3 for products, each with throughput capacity of 60 million liters per day. They can load very large ships because of the drafts in these locations. The facilities will have a total of 86 loading bays with total throughput capacity of over 200 million liters per day. And out of this, the gasoline loading bays with throughput capacity of 120 million liters per day are largely ready. We are looking to begin to commercialize these facilities from Q2, and we are talking to a number of potential customers who could use these facilities to supply their markets, and in doing so, capture savings in their value chain. So this is all I have to share for now. Let me hand over back to the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aliyu. Quite some insightful submissions in there, sharing good perspective on what the real prospect for us as Ghana will be. Today's audience are mainly your customers. Your customers are all represented here in Ghana. The bulk oil distribution companies are those who are licensed by the NPA to import products and or break bulk them when they offtake that from any refinery, locally or internationally. So it's quite a close group submission because these are your real customers. One, you've shed light on PMS and the fact that there's going to be a major deficit. Where the market is aware of Nigeria also having its own refineries outside of Dangote, the NNPC refineries. My first question would be how will that moderate your deficit as far as the Dangote output and Nigerian national demand is concerned? And are there opportunities through that for us to possibly also look at Nigeria as a possible supplier for Ghana?
Yeah, that's a good point. What I showcased assumed zero capacity from NNPC, but we know NNPC is working to rehabilitate at least one of the refineries, and that should be ready by 2024. So if that happens and it comes on stream and puts on additional supply into the market, then there is potential for some surplus for exports.
Okay. My next question, I'll open up the floor.
Let me address that. Let me address that. You see, some of the demand that you have pictured have also been dependent on the fact that in Nigeria, we also have subsidized gasoline. I think, and so it's a lot of smuggling into neighboring countries. So if subsidy is removed, and we also levy, say, fuel tax as you do in Ghana and so on, we may actually find the true consumption of gasoline in Nigeria, and added to what may come from Dangote, from NNPC, a refinery, I think the supply situation may change. But as now, Nigeria is, Dangote is the only one that may confidently say will supply at least the requirements of Nigeria.
What are the current prospects on a policy shift as far as the subsidy regime for PMS is concerned? I know the government mentioned it at some point, but it had to backtrack on its own words at some point.
Well, like everything else, when the budgetary demands from the states and so on, the governors are crying, I think the federal government will have to do something, because there is no other way you can do it. Then you start printing money. So I don't know. I think there is a heightened national awareness of the damage that the subsidy is doing to the finances of the country. That's all we can say. What we eventually come, we don't know.
Very well. Thank you very much, Engineer. Another question I want to ask is, Mr. Liu, you really shed some light on the logistics that will be required. You already have very great marine facilities. Ghana, Nigeria, not too far. I mean, I stand to be educated by anyone here. Possibly a day, and we should be on site. But what market approach do you intend to adopt? What we currently see globally, especially with Europe and the US and the flows into Ghana, is international oil trading companies like Vitol, BP, who I think are all represented in today's discussions, really taking charge of the refinery liftings and sort of breaking that bulk to WAF suppliers. Do you think that would be the same channel you'd want to deal with, or you'd want to directly deal with bulk distribution companies, or you still want to deal with the bigger IOTs that who currently dominates the WAF market, the West African market?
I think we'll be open to dealing with all reputable customers. If I look at our cement business, for example, we don't tend to have a high concentration of customers. Anybody that can buy 5 trucks, for example, 5 to 10 trucks, can be our customer. And we are likely to adopt the same for the refinery as well. That being said, there is a cost advantage to bulk. So especially if you are lifting by sea, there is an advantage if you're able to bring a large ship, take as much as possible, and then go and discharge into specific storage facilities. But that's something. So all I'm saying is that some customers will have advantage, could have advantage over others, if they're able to rally bigger ships. But,
so let me
we
take you
don't
on your cement.
really need.
I'll take you on your cement submission. 5 trucks, you can be a customer of Dangote today. What kind of size do you think will be the minimum you'll be anticipating for the refinery business? For the typicals like AGO and PMS?
It's something we've not yet decided, but we're likely to adopt the same approach. So any customer will have a threshold in number of trucks or volume, and any customer that can lift that can register to be our customer.
We'll look forward to that engagement. Ghana would not be able to feed its market with trucks for any of these petroleum products. It would be totally inefficient. And considering a lot of the monitoring systems that we currently deploy and the regulatory regime, it may be quite difficult to actually feed Ghana out of Nigeria with trucks. So what we really want to look at to be more of the marine thresholds marine capacity thresholds you'd actually set for Ghana. So I'll really be engaging you further on this, so you can give the market an idea.
We will not necessarily set a threshold because my belief is the customers will decide based on economics, right? As long as the ship can be accommodated in our SPMs, we will be fine. But you might, if you bring a small ship, you might be at a disadvantage versus another customer that brings a larger ship.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Ali. So I'll open the floor now. I'll Q&A. No, but actually, I wanted to ask you a question.
Sorry, just a question on my side.
Ali has something to say. Senor, Ali has something to add.
Okay, very well. Please shoot, Mr. Ali.
Yeah, so just from my understanding, your preference is to buy directly rather than buying through Vitol Trafigura. Is that correct?
I think it's an option that should be explored, and possibly also create avenues for African entrepreneurs to also become little Vitols and little BPs as well. But we need to have an ecosystem that accommodates all present and future players. And I think that your approach is a very viable one, which we would encourage. We believe in competition, so let the markets really determine who really stands. So creating that opportunity for smaller players to come in is very laudable, and from our own policy stand, I really welcome that.
Let me talk on that matter. I think the main problem, which is confronting all West African countries, is the low draft of the shore.
Yes.
Very, very low draft. So, so the bigger the vessel you can bring, the better. We at Dangote, we practically have no limitation. We are quite flexible to handle this, and I am sure we will, as Ali said, we are all in this to make money. And if you can cut out, myself, you can cut out middlemen, you cut them out. I don't have my feeling on that, But as everybody is here to make money, Dangote is going to make money. I'm sure the CBOD wants to make money, but more importantly, as the vision of Dangote is to satisfy the needs of the people at all times.
Great. So, engineer, before we go to the general floor, you may have touched on it, and I've missed it, but we've had conversation on the side. Tell us, when are we going to be able to have the first vessel dock ready to lift cargoes out of Nigeria, not to offload cargoes?
Well, I really can. Maybe Aliyu can say that, but maybe Aliyu can give you more information on that. I don't. I deal mainly with construction issues, not
I
the.
think we are looking at sometime in 2023. That is the worst case. But from what the project team is saying, it's very likely that they will complete end of this year and then go through the commissioning next year. So we might actually begin to have products next year. But just in terms of planning, because we tried to be slightly pessimistic, we're looking at sometime in 2023.
But
Fantastic.
what I was saying, what I would do,
an upside of early availability next year.
Okay.
Saying what I would say that since let's say this is our first formal engagement, we have to maintain that engagement, all right? And so that you will know when it is ready, you will know directly, you won't hear through the press, you will know it directly. And that is by, establishing contact, maintaining contact with Leo or with me or with anybody else, so that you don't go through the press. Believe me, I can tell you from the site, there's a lot of progress there, which the press, they don't even understand. All right? And despite the vicissitude of COVID-19, they've made a lot of progress. We are now in the final planning for the beginning of commissioning, and which Aliyu said, by end of this year, early first quarter, definitely, we are going to, in fact, commissioning of the utility, as I said during my presentation, has already started. It's already started. For the ISBA units, it will be more the production unit. We are looking by beginning of in January, we start commissioning. So we are closer than most people think.
Fantastic. Ghana is looking at a petroleum hub, so we'll have that discussion possibly at the till end of the Q&A session that will come from the general participants today. So to everybody, you can raise your hand and then we'll call you to speak. We'll be taking some remarks from the MPA as well as the African Refiners and Distributors Association. We are very honored to have our industry leader on the continent, Mr. Anibo Kraga, one of Babatunde's children in time past, also present here. Oga Anibo, you're welcome. We'll be taking remarks from you at the tail end of the Q&As of the program, as well as from Madam Alpha Welbeck, also from the NPA. So everybody is free to ask a question. I can see Gary Steele's number. Gary Steele is the African witch doctor for the petroleum industry in Africa. He knows everything about petroleum in Africa. In fact, we need to give Gary an African name. We'll call you Kwame Gary. All right, Gary, please, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed. First of all, I'd just like to say hello to all my friends. I'm very sorry that I can't be there with you. I'm hoping that soon that will change. But at the moment, I'm in exile in the UK. I'm really sorry to say that I think both of my Nigerian and Ghana visas have actually expired now for the first time in 20-something years. So
we'll send you a Ghanaian passport.
Thank you very much. I look forward to that. Diplomatic one, please. Thank you very much indeed for this webinar. It's very interesting. Obviously, we've been following the progress of the Dangote project for some time, and it's great to see it reaching this sort of final stage. First thing I want to say was actually probably a statement rather than a question, and that was we're talking about gasoline availability and demand, and yes, it's absolutely right. I mean, as far as our forecasts are concerned, by 2024, as things stand, there will probably be something like over 4.5 million ton shortfall after Dangote production, but excluding anything that will come on from NNPC, which will likely just be Port Harcourt by that time. So it's more likely that the gas oil will be, diesel will be the product that will be available for export. And of course, as Babajide said, this is a business, so it will go to wherever the best price is. And so you may see some of this product going out of the region, or even to South Africa, for example. My question actually was more to do with logistics. You mentioned all the loading gantries, and that 75% of the production can be moved by road. We all know the issues with traffic congestion in the Lagos area, and I was just wanting to know what sort of investments and what options have been talked about being made for moving product by truck out of the refinery and inland. There's a road up to Epe, but is there any project to build a new bridge across the lagoon, or to upgrade the road network to stop the trucks, because there will be something up to 2,000 a day? Is there any plans to upgrade the road network around the refinery? And allied to that, you have a very automated system for loading trucks. Of course, the biggest snag in a lot of sort of depot and loading operations is the time taken for truck vetting to make sure the truck is suitable, of suitable quality to enter the site. Are you confident that there will be a regular supply of quality trucks to load at the facility?
Great. I think that should go to, any of you should take it.
I will answer that. There is already a project that is approved. We only have a final approval from the federal government now, and the construction will start anytime soon. It will be a 8-lane highway from the refinery all the way to the past Epe, and to join the Shagamu-Ore Expressway. So right. That road, yes, you are right. That road, if you don't do anything, then the refinery will really be almost, bottlenecked. Yeah. As to the vetting of trucks, part of our loading system with other tasks, there is going to be a holding area in which all the trucks will be checked. And we will most likely, we will hold a meeting with the marketing companies long before, to give specification on the type of trucks. Because there is no point in building this kind of refinery and you bring 40 or 50-year-old trucks to load in the refinery. It just won't. So we will take clearly what kind of trucks we have. Now there should be no problem in investing in new trucks, because with the refinery, there will be constant supply. So there's no point that you are going to show. People will expect the marketers or the trucking company to start investing on new trucks. We will give this specification. Maybe Ali will talk to that later. We will make it clear that if you bring old truck, we will not accept. That's the way it's going to be.
Absolutely, it's a risk. Obviously it's a real risk. You build this fantastic facility, and then you put it at risk by accepting substandard trucks to enter.
But just by way of policy recommendation, I think that as a corporate entity, you can, and the kind of leverage you have, you can actually institutionalize a licensing regime for every single truck that is qualified to be there, so that they are duly monitored and all that, just like Ghana does for all the trucks that exist in Ghana. But to lift products legitimately by the NPA. But in your case, you are a little NPA of your own. So you're a bigger NPA of your own. So you're an authority on your own, you know, with that kind of market command. So I think that rightly said by Gary, it's a major risk, but it's something I think you are more than competent and empowered to actually address.
We also have a lot to learn from Ghana actually in this round, and we will also advise our Department of Petroleum Resources to come and really study your procedure, so that we have standard on legal regulatory requirements on this truck, so they don't get involved in court cases. But as I say, nobody can blame us if we refuse trucks, because we will not endanger our refinery or any other one because of there was a report last week or early this week that the average age of trucks on the road in Nigeria is over 30 years. You know.
I would actually even further recommend that you should also come up with the Dangote license regime for drivers who should be qualified to actually run products that trucks that carry your products. If we don't put in stringent measures to make sure there's proper compliance, would have great projects, and all the key operators may end up creating a bad image for fantastic projects like this. So just don't think about the trucks. I think you should go beyond that and look at the HR that's also running there.
Fortunately, we are Lagos State. Lagos State has the most stringent traffic regulations in the country, and they are not shy. I mean, if you are arrested for breaking the law, first you go to psychiatric treatment. That's the first thing you will do. You go for psychiatric treatment. They will seize your vehicle, and then you will pay. And they don't mince word about it. So, fortunately, we have the state laws that we can get on our side.
Very well. We have Alpha's hands up. Alpha is the director. Please introduce yourself.
So thanks, Senor. I'm the Director Pricing, Planning and Research with the National Petroleum Authority. What a presentation. I would say that this refinery is insanely complex. Senor describes it as a logistical nightmare. So kudos to you guys. My very first question, in your presentation, you indicated that you would be removing the sulfur totally from the crude you'll be processing. And I thought that was an interesting one. I just wanted to find out whether you'd be processing various grades of crude, or you are looking at just a particular crude. And are you going to remove the sulfur from all the crude before processing?
Probably I misspoke when I say all the crude. We will go to the lowest specification of crude. Any crude will go down to the same specification, about a 10 ppm or something like that, between 10 and 50, depending on the grade, to make Euro 5. Yes, that's right. What I mean. Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Whether the crude comes from Saudi Arabia or Venezuela or so on, they have to go down to the same specification.
Right, wonderful. My next question, I don't recall any mention being made of liquefied petroleum gas, LPG. I recall you made mention of all the other products, but with LPG in particular, I don't recall it mention being made of it. Just want to find out. Doesn't mean you are not going to process LPG?
No, I did. I said about the LPG storage bullets, the storage tanks.
Right.
And I also said our LPG loading facility is also at the truck loading terminal. That's a separate one for LPG. Yes, we produce. You cannot run a refinery without producing LPG.
Wonderful.
Actually, what you produce the components, which is propane and butane. And you blend them or mix them as the market demands. Yes, we produce LPG.
Right.
Okay.
So my last question.
Alpha, just a follow-up question on that.
Right.
I think, Aliu, it's in your submissions when you're looking at the demand-supply gap, you didn't make mention of LPG. You were actually referring to PMS. You also referred to jet and Carol. And I think that's where our first question is coming from. So if you could respond to that, Mr. Ali, will be grateful.
Yeah, that's true. I think we were mainly focusing on the, because those three products constitute about 90% of the production. I think that was why we just focus on them. But that does not mean that it's only those three that will be produced.
So what was the demand supply situation? I mean, the refinery output versus the Nigerian market demand assessment for LPG?
For LPG, I mean, Engineer Shode can probably talk to this long before when the NNPC refineries were in operation. In fact, getting rid of LPG was a problem because the production way exceeded the demand in Nigeria, and I will expect the same problem. We are still in the same situation largely.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, Leo is right. There was a time when we produced more LPG than we know what to do with. But since NNPC refineries became unstable, the local production diminished, and then people are now using firewood and other things. But now I can just say Dangote refinery will produce LPG as required, as required.
The key thing for us is to see whether there are export opportunities out of Nigeria for LPG. And I do not recall in the infrastructure brief for transportation, mainly for the marine options, any submission or confirmation of an investment to facilitate exports, LPG exports out of the refinery. If any of you could shed light on that, we'll be grateful.
Right.
Well, that is why I have said that the CBOD should maintain constant liaison with us for that one. Once we know, I mean, we have very flexible loading facilities, and we will
which can also do LPG.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, we have LPG lines going to the SPM because we import ethanol. We can import ethanol. This same line can import LPG.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Great. So my last question, you also indicated that looking at the consumption patterns in Nigeria, you'd end up having excess gas oil. So that's for export. But for PMS, you did not confirm whether or not it can be exported over the period. That's for gasoline.
I think the main issue facing Nigeria today is subsidy.
Right.
All right. Now, if we have subsidized gasoline, our pricing in Nigeria is so below the prices in neighboring countries, so that our products are just being not stolen. They are being marketed illegally.
Stealing, it can't be marketing. It's not different now.
It's marketing. I mean, if you set your price low, as long as they pay the price, it's the market you set now, it's the price you put. So why are you calling it? You don't call it stealing. If you declare a Christmas party and people are coming to the party, you don't blame them. But I think the thing is that our governments are now waking up. There's no more money. So I personally think that by end of the year, subsidy will be removed. And in fact, we may actually even levy fuel tax so that we have pricing in the region is about uniform. Because that's the only way you can have equilibrium and stability. And then we will actually know the consumption pattern for gasoline in Nigeria.
Very well.
So I wouldn't say we can or we cannot, but What Ali has said is that we are open for business. You know, the refinery is every day you plan your production. I mean, the market is coming. Every day we do the production programming. So it depends on the market.
Very well. All right, Michael Obodu, your hands are up.
All right, Senor, thank you. My name is Michael Obodu. I'm a journalist with City FM and City TV. I first of all want to know, I've heard Aliko Dangote raise concerns about the challenge of selling cement to some West African countries who would rather prefer buying from overseas. Now, how do you plan to address that challenge with your refinery? And then my second question is, I might not understand the dynamics fully, but how much of a difference will your refinery make when it comes to the cost of fuel in the sub-region? Thank you.
Ali, maybe.
So I mean, right now the challenges of exporting cement, I will say, have been, or at least for clinker, have been overcome. We have exported clinker to Cameroon and to Senegal. We have not yet exported cement, but that's mainly due to the fact that the infrastructure is not yet in place. With the AFC FTA, I think some of the constraints that might have been in place will gradually be removed. So it should be possible for us to export cement. Similarly, for refinery petroleum products, these are globally traded products, as I think somebody mentioned earlier. So to be honest, our products could be sold in Africa, they could be sold in Brazil, they could be sold anywhere. But given logistics advantages, it will make sense for West African countries to buy from Nigeria. Because the freight cost will hopefully be lower depending on the size of the ships, and also there is an availability advantage. As Senor said, this is probably one day sailing, right, from Ghana to Lagos. So you know that you have a stock of products that are just one day away from you. So as distributors, that should be a preferred source. We don't envisage challenges in selling petroleum products, partly as well because the value chain is mature. In many countries, there are import facilities, there are storage facilities, distribution, and so on and so forth. So whether you buy it from Lagos or you buy it from Europe, you just plug it into the same distribution or logistics network.
Obodu, I trust that answers the question. One of the key things with most of our the Ghanaian consumer market is that suggestion that, I mean, you'll have cheaper petroleum products simply because it's close by. It's a standard world commodity, and that's how it is always going to play out. The best you can get will be logistical savings. And even then, will always still be subject to a very unique refinery challenge at any point in time. Some refineries may actually go below world benchmarks because they have a unique crisis at a point in time, or may have to evacuate products. So everybody has to be quite moderate about their expectations. Whether you refine it in your country or you are buying it from somewhere else, you do not have any special advantage on the commodity itself. So it may not necessarily lead to extremely lower pricing. It would definitely lead to improved logistical engagement. It could lead to some savings on the logistics side, but not necessarily on the commodity. One of the things Dangote is going to present to this market is the opportunity to grow African trading companies because of the proximity, the language barrier that to be, and the cultural barriers that can be easily sidestepped, and better integration with the financial markets or industries. You have UBA in Nigeria, you have UBA in Ghana. There are all kinds of opportunities that may come out of it. So Michael, and I know you're asking a very legitimate question from the consumer side. It is not necessarily the case that the price of the commodity will change. Dangote will buy crude at the price that the world market will dictate. They won't get a special crude price. What they may get is special or privileged access to the crude because their market is prioritized. All right, so that's what you likely get out of that. We have Emmanuel Cont'd. Your hands are up. Introduce yourself before your submission, please.
Thank you very much, Senor. My name is Emmanuel Cont'd. I work with Chase Petroleum Ghana Limited. Thank you very much, Engineer Babajide and Mr. Aliu. Indeed, I'll add my voice to Senors to say that it's a very impressive project that you're undertaking, and how proud we are to be associated with it as Africans. It's a limelight, and we are proud. When you were speaking, I didn't. Or anyway, I'd like to find out considering the fact that you consider selling or dealing with BDCs and in the sub-region, whether you have currently an idea of what the commercial terms would be. Are you looking to have, a different set of commercial terms to capture value and deliver value, or will it be business as usual so that we can prepare ourselves adequately? Thank you very much.
Sorry, I'm not sure I understand the question.
So, for example, basically, what the commercial terms of trade will be if we want to come and buy? What are the commercial terms?
Okay. So I mean, it's a bit early for us to discuss this, but as we move closer to shipping our first cargoes, we will firm up some of these things. One thing I would just love to understand is, if we look at Ghana, will the CBOD be coming as a customer, one customer, or is it the individual members that will be coming, and therefore we could have 10 customers from Ghana? So are we going to have one, or are we going to have 10 or 20? What's the likely structure?
The market is very flexible in Ghana, so you just may have any of the two, subject to what structures may be. If the market players would rather find a lot more wisdom aggregating their demand and using that to better negotiate pricing terms and funding terms or procuring funding, that's an option. If individually they have bigger capacity, so you could possibly see a blend of both.
All right, no problem. So I think the details we can, especially commercial and payment terms, we could discuss. Typically, I think somebody did say, saying, we have UBA in Nigeria, you have UBA in Ghana, right? So therefore, you have the banks that will be able to facilitate credit-based transactions, and hopefully then that shouldn't be an issue. So from that perspective, it will just be a matter of pricing and offtake, whether we're going to go into long-term offtake contracts and agree certain volumes, and therefore based on that agree pricing. That's something that we could do. So there are two models for us. One model is we just place the product on the water, and anybody who can buy it and take it wherever they want. The other is we have bilateral contracts, and I think the second is probably preferred with large distributors in certain countries, where we agree volumes and pricing.
Very well. I think that works. I see Josh and Henry of Vitor. Josh, you have the floor.
Hi, good morning. The Dangote team, nice work. I have sort of two questions really.
Josh, I
One
think
for the
you should declare your Niger pride before you proceed. You are a proud son of the soil.
a proud son of the soil, trying to hide in Ghana for the minute. No, but obviously, two questions really. The refinery, I believe, started the project started 20, I believe it was 2013, and by your submission,
2014. 2014.
2014. Okay, so by your submission, Mr. Ali, earlier, it sounds like 2023 is the best case scenario at the moment to actually have products coming out. One question is, why has this project sort of lagged? 10 years. It'll be interesting to find out what from your opinion. Obviously, in the last year we've had COVID, so that hasn't helped. But what's the implication of this massive delay on your economics? Versus when you actually started looking at the project. The other question I have is for the on the engineering side. You had mentioned you'll be installing an alkylation unit. Quite interested to find out which technology you're using there. Is this a HF or sulfuric acid sort of design? And lastly, on the commercial side, are you targeting, because obviously, as we all know, the Nigerian oil market is quite developed, right? As big as this plant is going to be when it's done, are you targeting the retail market or terminal operators that are already existing? Because I think there's a lot of expansion going on the terminaling side. So being as big as you are you actually looking to go into the retail side or just limited to the terminal operators? Thank you.
So let me answer the last question, and then I think Engineer Shoede can answer the question on delay. Especially in Nigeria, I think our preference is to sell at the gates. There is a mature distribution network, and we believe people in that business have much more experience than us. So it's not a segment that we'll look to get into. We just want to sell at the gate.
Let me talk about the length, that the time that the project is taking. Yes, we started in 2014, but every company has its own strategy. So yes, it's longer than we thought, but it depends. It's a matter of how we decided to implement the project. I mean, for example, we acted as our own EPC contractor. Tried to do it ourselves, And then you have COVID came, and you have a lot of financial problems that came. So that is really an internal matter.
Maybe if I may add, Engineer, on the delay. I don't know if Josh, you are aware that we initially started the project in Olokola Free Trade Zone. And then there was some disagreement with the government there. So we had to move, come to the Lagos Free Trade Zone. When we came to the Lagos Free Trade Zone, it was essentially marshy land. So we had to spend at least 2 years just recovering and resettling the land. That wasn't in our initial project plan, and it wasn't in the initial financial plan as well. So we had to do that. We had to get some of the largest, I think the largest dredgers in the world were employed to come and settle that land. So you can imagine this land is 6 times, Victoria Island is 6 times the size of Victoria Island. So just imagine how it will take after, first of all, you've moved from Olokola, so there's that delay. You were somewhere else, you had to move somewhere, do all the legal documentation and so on and so forth, community, blah, 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 and then start the technical process of resettling the land. So that took some time. And then COVID came. With COVID, we were hit in 2 ways, or maybe even 3 ways. First is some of the equipment manufacturers, due to the shutdown, they also shut down across the world. Secondly, we needed a huge amount of manpower from China and India. And as you know, China at some point stopped their citizens from traveling because they were being accused of spreading COVID around the world. India went into a very long lockdown as well. All the airports were shut. So given that we've actually made a... Exactly. Engineer, I think, so we had to be organizing special flights. We had to be begging the governments of India and China through government, writing, begging. When they agree, a few people, we have to organize special flights to go and carry them. And then when they come here, first of all, they have to do 2 weeks. If you recall, beginning of COVID, it was 2 weeks quarantine, 1 to 2 weeks either side. So you want to bring somebody from abroad, he first of all has to quarantine 1 to 2 weeks. Then he comes here, then he quarantines. We had that. There were cases where we needed an engineer maybe for just a few days, and the guy has to spend almost 1 month of quarantine before coming here. So that all of that contributed to the delay. And 2023 is not the best case, as I've said. 2020, if we were to take the optimistic case, it will be next year, actually.
The other one is very simple. We are using sulfuric acid alkylation.
Okay. Better. Thank you, sir.
George is one of the engineers who's making Nigeria proud in Ghana, doing magical things, and we are happy to have George here in Ghana, supporting our local refinery get active. So, Baba, your people are working.
Baba, we're doing our best everywhere we are.
Nice
Just
to
helping
hear.
our neighbors.
Nice to hear.
And Senyo is a good ambassador. We give him partial passport when he comes back. Not a full passport. If we give him a full passport, he will get scared.
Is a Nigerian. Senyo is a Nigerian.
I was born in Ikeja.
Lagos.
Yes.
We know, but we want to withdraw his full passport. Give him a partial one.
We have Desmond. Desmond, you have the floor.
Hi, thank you very much, Senor.
After yours will be only 2 more questions, and we'll take remarks from Ada and the MPA.
Okay, thank you very much, Senor, and good morning. Thank you again, Mr. Liu, and then Babajide for such a brief and then wonderful presentation. My question has to do with the transportation of the product from Nigeria to Ghana. From your presentation, we can tell that there are 2 main channels that you'll be using, by road and then by sea. I'd like to understand what advantages there are for choosing these 2 lines of transportation, and why you would prefer to use the road over the sea transport.
Well, let us get something straight. We are not handling transportation. As Ali said, if you buy from our gate, and then you transport the product as you want. So it's you are free to decide which way you want to do, by road or by sea. So we are not handling. We are not in transportation business at all.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, we have George Wiafi. George Wiafi, one of the leading business journalists in Ghana. George, you have the floor.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Just some 2 quick clarifications. I don't know whether you can hear me. I hope I'm in clear, sir. Just 2 quick clarifications. In your presentation, sir, in one breath, you were talking about commissioning and then completion. Can you break down the technical stuff for us? So all other things being equal, if I'm a BDC, when can I drive to your gate gas supplies for Ghana here. Also, the bit about the pricing. I know that Senor explained that it's a global international commodity and therefore it's more of a standard price. But how does the freight cost also play in the pricing? That if I'm having it come from Nigeria, I'll be getting it at a certain subsidized price. If you look at the cost of freight and bringing it down from Nigeria to Ghana, and it's Ghana a priority market for you, or listen, you're looking at a global market, so is Ghana placing fine? How critical is Ghana or the Ghanaian market for you in this product offering as in selling it, please?
Aliyu, I think you better go first.
Okay, so I think the Ghana market is critical for us. You know, as a group, our philosophy is to lead the industrialization of Africa and to also provide Africans with their basic needs. And there's nothing as basic as fuel because it underpins a lot in our economies. So Ghana is important. It's close. It is it's a large market as well. Pricing, as I mentioned, there are two models. One model is we just say this is our FOB price, and anybody can come and take it and sell. The other is we go into bilateral negotiations, and for the bilateral negotiations, we will we'll do that at the right time. I'm sure there will be savings for anybody buying from here, and we'll agree a price that enables both sides to capture a fair share of the value that is being created.
Thank you very, very much, Babajide and Mr. Liu. I don't know if you want to answer.
There is another question about the mechanical completion and commissioning. Now, the refinery is under mechanical construction now, and the mechanical completion is really a technical as well as contractual term. That is when the contractor say, I have finished constructing your refinery according to the design and specifications you gave me. And then you say, okay, you get somebody or you get your operating people to go in there and check that everything is done. Then the mechanical, that is mechanical completion. Then the operating people, which is Dangote, said, will now take over and start commissioning it. It is a very long and tedious process, depending on the size of the refinery. In this case, it's the Dangote refinery, you may have commissioning process between 6 to 8 months or even 12 months. Don't forget there are 15 process units and there are 8 utilities units. Each of them has to be commissioned and put in operation. All right, and the thing is that all of them must really work together before you start to get on-spec products. So mechanical completion of construction and then commissioning of the plant to put it into operation. Is it clear now? George?
Okay, George, your hands are up.
Yeah, kind of still,
George's
George,
submission.
in layman terms, the commissioning is basically going to test what has been completed. So going unit by unit and test it and ensuring that it is
No, the commissioning is not the test. No. Commissioning is putting the plant into preparing the plant for oil in. When the oil is in, you are going to now test it for performance guarantee and for acceptance. Of course, during commissioning, you will do some tests of individual equipment. But really the test of the plant is when you put oil in after commissioning.
Okay, Josh, before I come to you, George, is that a follow-up to the submission to give clarity?
No, it's okay. So I understand that it will be fully operational 2023, but commissioned next year. Thank you.
Okay, very well. All right, Josh.
The last
commission
has actually started for the utility plants. It has started. So it's not one day. You are starting. You've started. Yes.
I think in summary, what you were saying, Baba, is that the project has different phases, different units coming together as en bloc. So you are commissioning them phase by phase or unit by unit. So
Yes.
that commissioning process has started, but it's not all completed for all the units yet.
No.
Hopefully by next year we should have that done. And worst case scenario, we should be fully commercially operational in 2023 as a worst case, and hopefully maybe Q4, Q3 next year. All right, Josh, your hands are up. You have the last question.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I mean, I think I just wanted to, this one is more commercial, and I'm hoping to get Gary's view as well as the Dangote team. Obviously, when Baba started earlier in his presentation, he'd mentioned 650 KBD, and a lot of that will be sourced out of Nigeria. If you look at the crude balance out of Nigeria today, I think there's been some delays in the last month, but we are averaging about 1.4, 1.5 million barrels a day. I'm not sure where the condensates fit into that. But if you just look at pure crude, coming out, it's more like 1.5 max at the moment. If you're going to take the bulk of your feed from Nigeria, obviously, I would expect from a commercial standpoint, when you run your LPs, you're not going to, I mean, obviously it depends on what the margins are locally, which should be there. But if you're going to run a good chunk of Nigerian grades, that puts quite a bit of light sweet crude out of the global market. Have you looked at that? And how is the NNPC in your discussions with them looking at this? Because obviously, if you're taking a good, let's say 400 KBD, right, as a base load, and then you'll optimize with some foreign grades, some heavy, medium, heavy grades outside of the country to optimize the refinery, that leaves quite a bit of shortage, if you will, leaving the country for the international market. And as we know, you have a lot of Nigerian grades going into, Far East and other places that would become overnight sort of short of that light sweet crude. How do you see this playing out? Because obviously it's going to impact your cost of feed if the NNPC actually charges you properly as they should for what should be a much tighter crude market in that environment. How are you guys looking at that? And Gary, I don't know if you've looked at this.
So first of all, I think in terms of the production volumes of 1.5, that is due to OPEC, right? With condensates, it's about 1.7. OPEC has started loosening restrictions. They have a meeting and then another one July 1st. So we foresee production going up beyond the current 1.5, except if, God forbid, COVID comes back again and we're back into lockdown. Then with regards to the impact in the market, this is just you're in a way, first of all, we are not responsible for the global market of crude, so we don't have to think for the market about being redirection of some sweet barrels into our refinery. Secondly, there is a bit of a swap, essentially. Nigeria currently is swapping crude for products. That crude goes to markets and those products come into Nigeria. So essentially that crude does not go to Europe and the products also do not come to Nigeria. So it's not like Europe will continue to produce this Nigeria's demand and they don't have the equivalent barrel to support that. That is not the situation. So both the product and the crude are shifting.
Well, I have an engineer's view of this. Look, the one advantage of Dangote refinery is the stabilization of the naira. If the Nigerian crew can have a sure market in Nigeria at global price, then the price of the naira will be stable. And if we are consuming our product, our crude, and the rest are getting on the market and they are struggling for it, they'll pay higher price for it. So really, I think that is for NNPC to work out, because we want crude. I will get the best crude we can get. I mean, fortunately, we have the production capacity to process any crude. And if NNPC can get best price by selling some to us, I'm telling them, why not? You know, so
But I think that's
it's not a problem at all.
I think that's kind of where I'm getting to, right? I think that's what I'm trying to get to is, are you looking to displace the current or enter into an arrangement with NNPC to displace the current DSDP that is going on, right? Because from what you just said, if you tighten the crude market by running, the bulk of your feed becomes Nigerian grades, right? And you don't remove subsidy, your feed cost goes up quite substantially, because now from exporting 1.5 or 1.7, you'll be exporting, let's say, if you run 100% Nigerian grades, you export 1, right? That's a material tightening of the global sweet market. But if your product doesn't appreciate equally locally, which is your main market, then you don't have a margin to run. So are you going to be displacing the DSDP in Nigeria?
Let me talk, and I think you will talk.
No.
We have the flexibility to run any crude. Each day, the refinery will doing the balancing to how best to meet the demand of the supply and distribution, probably in headquarters. Or maybe Ali will say, I want this, you will say. It is for him to go and discuss with NNPC or whatever. It is not our problem. We want to get the cheapest crude and to make the most money for the refinery, pure and simple. How Aliyu does that, it is business. Maybe we'll discuss with NNPC or whoever else, fine. But as a refinery manager, I want to make the most money, the biggest, highest margin possible. So Aliyu, over to you.
No, as I've said, there's no tightening, because you're just shifting volumes elsewhere of both products and crude. If you assume, for example, that there's a refinery in Europe that is taking 100,000 barrels of Nigerian crude to give equivalent value of products, that refinery no longer needs to produce those products, and therefore they don't need those 100,000 barrels.
Anyway, I think Josh is just talking for Vitol.
There's no tightening.
They do both crude and
the demand and supply balance is the same, just that they go into different refineries.
Josh is looking for Vitol, So.
Oh no, Baba, you called a forum, and I'm just asking a question.
Anyway, Gary
what do you think? What do you think?
Oh, I think that
no.
he's eliciting a lot more insight into the matter, and it's a fair request, a submission.
No, it's
Josh, we are in to make money, and we are in to supply what you require, right? So we will do both,
Absolutely, it's not a charity. You're not running a charity. We expect you to make money, right?
No.
No, I think it's you mentioned the DSDP. Yes, it's absolutely right. I mean, the DSDP was a means to an end. It was to take crude that wasn't being used by the NNPC system and bringing product in against that. And it will become. It was always a stopgap, and of course that will disappear. Because 445,000 barrels a day, which is sort of the earmarked for the NNPC system, that was then went into the DSDP system, is now sort of available in theory to be run through the Dangote refinery. And again, it's down to economics, and I should imagine that NNPC will want to get a fair price, a market price for their product. For their crude, rather, if it goes through the Dangote refinery. And equally, as you know, Josh, the slate is worked out by the LP. If it makes sense to take Angolan barrels 1 month and I don't know, even US barrels another, then that's how it will play out. Of course, the issue perhaps is it depends very much on what happens in terms of availability with OPEC and global demand. because at the moment it is NNPC have a bit of a squeeze on available crude. What with the DSDP, with the long-term offtake agreements, and also, of course, with some of the pre-finance deals that they have in place that they still have to service. So again, it depends on what happens globally. We know that a lot of refineries in Europe are already under a lot of pressure, and as we hurtle towards zero carbon, maybe in the next sort of 20 years, it's certainly true that these refineries will, a lot of the old European refineries will disappear. So in which case the market would have to rebalance. But
yeah, Gary, I think that's exactly where I'm going at, right? I mean, it's not a VTOL or traffic or trader issue. It's more of a global. I mean, I think we often in this part of the world look at things just on a localized level, but we have the advantage of seeing the global picture. My point is that if Port Harcourt runs, and Dangote runs, right? And obviously we've talked about the freight savings there potentially, which means that you're probably going to base load quite a bit of Nigerian crudes, right? Yeah. And we all know, even if OPEC starts loosening up tomorrow, it's going to be all sour barrels primarily. So Dangote, in my view, will still run quite a bit of local grades, right? The optimization is going to come from sour. So the question is, in a global scenario where Nigeria now runs refinery, which it hasn't done in the last 20 years, right? Between Dangote and NNPC, PH in particular, the most realistic one. If that happens, you can conceivably see a scenario where there's about 600 to 800,000 barrels a day if it runs consistently out of the global sweet market, and obviously. That has to create a tightening of the sweet market, which should drive premiums higher. Yeah. And my point to the group is that if Nigeria doesn't remove subsidy, it's really a point for maybe this is not the forum, but you need to remove subsidy to actually make a margin, because if you maintain the current environment and your sweet crudes get tightened up and premiums rise, then somebody has to foot the bill, right? And it's going to be the central bank or NNPC at the end of the day. That's really the point I'm trying to get at. But maybe this is not the forum.
Let me explain something to you about subsidy. Subsidy has nothing to do with the refinery. Even now, it has nothing to do with the refinery. Even it has nothing to do with NNPC. Subsidy is purely a government affair. All right. So I will buy crude at international price, and I will sell the product at competitive price. Whoever buys it, what he wants to do, please listen to what Aliyu said. We will sell at the gate. So what happens to price after a gate has nothing to do with us.
But Baba, I think that's clear. I mean, the key thing here is about the sweet crude differentials that the market will see if OPEC really loosens up a bit. I mean, the differential could be significant. Already, Mapo 2020 and the need for LSM.
It's good for Nigeria. It's good for Nigeria.
Agreed. So, I mean, I think what I really get a lot more from Josh's submission is what the amount of flexibility you actually have in your crude procurement plan. So if optimizing it would be getting to the sour options, would that be something you rather look at, or your strategy is really locked down with the Nigerian sweet standard that you currently have? You've already indicated that you have engineering flexibility with your refinery. You should be able to handle all kinds of crudes, I mean, from time to time, but the commercials and the differentials may end up making the SAR options quite attractive. Is it something that strategically you are flexible to consider, or you are fully committed to the Nigerian crude supply?
No, I have never said, I don't think Ali has ever said we are committed to Nigerian crude.
No, it's a question I was just trying to clarify.
What I said is this: every day a refinery makes a production program, all right, to balance how do you meet the product demand that the trading department has brought to you.
And
that means you either use Nigerian crude, you use Arabian crude, you use Ghana crude, or you use Angola crude. The refinery has a really wide flexibility in this.
Fantastic.
Because we can, for example, we can blend up to 6 to 12 crude type at a time into the plant. So we have tremendous flexibility.
Very well. Thank you very much, Baba. I think that clarifies it. So there's still a crude supply opportunity for traders into Nigeria, subject to what pricing and differentials between sour and sweet crude will be, because they have the engineering flexibility. So I think that's clarified. At this juncture, it's Mr. Lewis here. I don't know if you want to have, you have probably 30 seconds each to submit a closing submission. Then we take a remark from the NPA and then a remark from the African Refiners and Distributors Association before we head out. Yeah. So, Mr. Aliyu, will you take the first wrap-up submission on your presentation? Then we come to the new Ghanaian Baba himself. Baba, you're in Ghanaian now. You're a Ghanaian. Yeah. So, Aliyu, you have the floor. Any final submissions from you, Mr. Aliyu? I don't think he can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay, so Baba, so probably you take your final submissions.
Okay. Well, I just want, I want to thank you again for this opportunity. Sorry, the last 2 years we couldn't hold the GapeCon, and I really missed it. I look forward to welcoming you to Nigeria to come and see the refinery in person. And as I said, I hope you keep interaction with us. You put it on the fast track, so that you can get anything that is breaking. You get the breaking news first. You don't wait for the press. Okay, so thank you very much, Madam. Thank you very much. It was very nice meeting you. When I come to Ghana again, I will be sure to visit you.
Very well. So I'll call on the MPA, Mrs. Alpha Walberg, to give us the regulator's remarks.
It did unmute. It did unmute. Yes.
Thanks, Senor. Okay. Right. Fantastic. The Honorable Minister for Energy, Dr. Matthew Okuprempe, the Group Executive Director, Dangote, Mr. DVG Edwin, the Technical Advisor of the Group Chief Executive, Dangote, Engineer Babajide Soyode, the CEO of CBOD, Mr. Denyon Osi, the President and representatives of the African Refiners and Distributors Association, the ADA, Mr. Anibo Praga, International Oil Trading Companies. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm particularly honored to give the regulators remarks for this occasion. First of all, I would like to thank CBOD for organizing this event and for bringing stakeholders together, thinking and discussing the opportunities the refinery brings, and to update ourselves on the Dangote project. Harmonization of specifications. To begin with, a refinery of 650 kilo barrels per stream day capacity is in no doubt a game changer in the West Africa sub-region. It's a major boost to the region's refinery capacity and complexity. The operationalization of the refinery will engender energy security for economic growth. By industry standard, the Dangote refinery is a complex one with capabilities to deliver both transportation fuels and petrochemicals feedstock. We are excited as a regulator that the refinery is designed to produce Afri-6, that is 10 ppm maximum sulfur content in fuels specification. This is in tandem with the Afri-Fuels roadmap to supply high-quality fuels specifications in the sub-region to improve emissions and air quality, as well as derive the associated health benefits. The coming on stream of the Dangote refinery will help accelerate the harmonization of specifications in the West Africa sub-region. As you know, Ghana is currently the only country in the sub-region to have switched to low sulfur fuel, and that is 50 ppm maximum sulfur content. As the biggest economy in the sub-region and the country with the highest fuel demand, we are of the view that Nigeria's switch to low sulfur fuels will be a major step to achieving this goal of harmonizing fuel specifications in the sub-region. With Nigeria's fuel demand estimated at about 442,000 barrels per stream day and 650,000 barrels per stream day, Dangote refinery has the capacity to meet the country's entire fuel need with excess supply. Of course, the presentation clearly tells us that this excess supply is in terms of diesel. Now, the cost of supply, we anticipate finally, furthermore, we anticipate a reduction in cost of fuel supplies due to the proximity advantage for fuels in the sub-region, since fuels to West Africa are usually from Northwest Europe, resulting in higher freight costs. And we are also looking at some saving from anyone bringing fuel from Nigeria. Finally, overall, we expect low cost quality fuels to be delivered to the sub-regional market. Ghana looks forward to the opportunities famous Dangote refinery brings to the sub-region. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Alpha. Ghana truly can't wait for the eagle to fully land. So, Baba, we are waiting for you. The eagles of Nigeria must land on the star of Ghana. So, oh yeah, we want them quick. At this juncture, I want to call on Mr. Anibo Kraga, the Executive Secretary of the African Refiners and Distributors Association. He is our industry leader, and he has been charting the course for us on cleaner fuels. And we are very happy to note that for the first time on the continent of Africa, we will in the next 2 years be having Euro 5 specs produced right here in Africa. And I think that's the Afri-6 specification right here in Africa. That is a game changer. Oga Kraga, the floor is yours.
Senor, thank you. Thank you very much, Senor. Good morning, everyone. My name is Anibo Kraga, and as said, I'm the Executive Secretary of the African Refiners and Distributors Association. I'm very, very happy to be here on this occasion. I'd like to thank Senor and the Ghana Chamber of Bulk Distributors and Dangote for putting this together. First thing, before I say anything else, this Euro 5, I'm not feeling it. I need Afri-6 only, please. We're in Africa. When you go to Europe, you can talk about Euro 5. So please, I would like to encourage everyone that going forward, I'd like to hear Afri-6 in all presentations. Then when I see you in London, we can talk Euro 5.
No, if you did, we'll maintain Afri-6.
Please. It's advisable. But more importantly, I'd like to congratulate the Dangote Refinery. Engineer Shoyode, always a pleasure, always inspiring us. We're very, very impressed with what you have done. Aliyu has left, but please give him my best and the rest of your team, DVG Edwin and on everyone else, because what the Dangote Refinery represents is essentially a paradigm shift in how refining takes place on the continent. It's essentially the refinery of the future. You know, it's transforming the industry. Today, the refineries are usually simpler, smaller. You produce fuel, some petrochem feedstock, and so on. What Dangote is doing is moving further down the value chain, an integrated, world-class refining and petrochemical complex, which is delivering higher value, cleaner fuel products. I noticed from the presentation that was said there will be no LPFO produced, and they'll be focused on incremental gasoline. ADA is very focused on African energy security. Yesterday, I was on a conference with OPEC, the African Energy Commission of the African Union, the Africa Petroleum Producers Organization, and with ADA, we are working on an African energy transition plan, a robust plan which will form part of our submission to the COP26 climate change conference in November. We need a plan for Africa where we maximize Africa's crude oil and maximize processing of the crude oil in African refineries, maximize transportation of that, the cleaner products through our storage and distribution infrastructure, and that's what Africa is doing. Dangote, with production of Afri-6 fuels, is a game changer in that regard. It is driving it will drive harmonization of cleaner fuel specs across Africa. ADA has been working with the African Union Commission on harmonized Pan-African specs, driving for Afri-6 by 2030. I must commend Dangote and the Dangote refinery because they actually part-sponsored a study along with Trafigura that CTAC actually conducted on behalf of ADA and the African Union on what the cost implications will be for upgrading the refineries on the continent to cleaner fuels and what the cost implications will be for imports as well. And so I'd like to thank Dangote for that. The cost at this point in time is looking about $15.7 billion across Africa, plus or minus 50%. This includes all the refineries across Africa to produce Afri-6. Now, what is also important is that we need to ensure we have a sustainable finance plan to raise this money for our refineries. And that is what ADA is really focusing on now. How do we ensure that we put a framework in place for our refineries to upgrade to start to produce Afri-6 fuels? Because the banks right now, if you look at the statistics, I think this is probably going to be the first year that fossil fuel financing for fossil fuel projects will be less than financing for greener energy projects. So we are making a case that part of the reason for a sustainable finance plan for Africa is that we must have the funding in place to upgrade our refineries to produce and transport cleaner fuels. We must have that in place, and we need to ensure that we work with all stakeholders to do that. Dangote's refinery, with the capacity, will definitely help in that regard, particularly in pushing for harmonized Pan-African specs, like my sister from MPA mentioned. It is what we need, because if we do not do it, I can assure you that in the next 10 years, Africa will have a public health disaster on our hands. As we speak, by 2035, we are going, first of all, 1 in 2 people born globally between now and 2040 is going to be African. By 2035, we're going to have at least 30 cities in Africa with 5 million or more people. Consequently, if we do not have a program like what Dangote is doing, whereby we are producing cleaner fuels, we are all going to have a situation where instead of knowing someone that knows somebody that has cancer, it is going to come closer and closer to home. So in closing, congratulations to Dangote. Congratulations to CBOD. Very proud of the accomplishment. As a Nigerian, of course, I'm a Pan-African individual, but of course, I am always proud to acknowledge these kind of world-class accomplishments. I think that will set the stage for the other refineries in Africa to follow and for African energy security. Thank you very much, and I wish everyone a wonderful rest of the day. Bye.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Krager, and thank you very much, everyone, for making time to participate in today's session. This is one of a series of quarterly industry engagements we will be having, and we look forward to visiting you, Engineer Babajide, Mr. Aliyu, and the entire team, and let's take a good walk around the 2,600 hectares of land. I think that would take us more than a day. It is an impressive one, and it beholds on all of us as Africans or interested players in the African market to really see a project like Dangote's project really succeed. And you are rest assured, Dangote, of Ghana's support. the industry support to make sure this works. And the witch doctor himself of the industry is here. He said a lot of insights. Gary, I'm so grateful for making time to participate in today's session. Josh, very incisive submissions and engagements. And I'm thankful to you, Madam Alpha Welbeck, for making time and a very great speech or remarks submitted there, great address there. And to our chair and the board of CBOD, thanks so much for also making this happen. Good day, and we look forward to our next meeting, both physically and virtually. Stay blessed. Bye.